Which players have you met? To be honest, I'm hoping the comments of this video will be more interesting than what I've got to say, because I don't have any marvelous stories about meeting players. I've got a couple of guys I've talked to, a fair few guys that I've seen, but no doubt some of you guys will have much better stories to tell. I thought about this because I saw Michael Collins, who, if you don't know, is a fullback and much not loved player from the Blues. He's going to be back with us for 2019. I saw him in the supermarket. I saw a bunch of kind of big looking guys, and I thought, wow, those guys are pretty big. And I'm 6'4", not that big, but these guys were big. And even I was like noticing that. And I saw among them, the smallest guy was Michael Collins, who was behind several much taller guys. And I thought, okay, that's Michael Collins. He's a Blues player. Who else have I seen? Who have I interacted with? And who have you guys kind of met, talked to, interacted with? I mean, I'm talking outside of the rugby field, because if I looked at guys that I've seen, at games, that's a lot. I can't remember. But guys who I've seen, interacted with, is a few. And as I say, if I see a guy in public, I'm sure as hell not going to talk to him. I'll leave him alone, basically. Now, my dad is not that guy. My dad is, oh my God, that's that guy, and he immediately goes over to have a chat with him. So my dad has had a fair few more interactions with guys than me. I've listed a couple of those down as well. But, yeah, I've definitely seen a few guys. So I've seen Michael Collins at the supermarket. I saw Michael Jones in the city once, and I was still only a teenager, and I did kind of whisper to him, oh my God, it's Michael Jones. And I think he probably heard us and made a beeline across the street, but maybe he just had to go across the street. So Michael Jones. I seen Dan Carter at the airport, and he was wearing big sunglasses and kind of black clothes. This is after his All Blacks days. He was, I think, trying to be as little noticed as possible. I've seen Kevin Mialamu going into a bar, and this was on a night that was after a Blues game. Actually, I was in a bar with some mates when I was in my early 20s, or in my 20s. Yeah, I was obviously old enough to go into a bar, and we watched the game, and then I headed to another bar. And as I was leaving that second bar, Kevin Mialamu, because this was the bar at Sky City, who are one of the sponsors of the Blues, he jumped a hell of a long queue. The queue was out the bar and round the corner and round another corner. Kevin, obviously, Blues player, got to cut that whole line. And I kind of went past him as I was leaving and he was going in. He wasn't that tall, but again, you can feel the size about him. I've seen James Lowe at a local club rugby game here when he was injured for the Chiefs before he headed off to Leinster. He had kind of a moon boot on and was just standing there with some crutches. I guess he had a mate playing. I didn't go say hello to him. I actually think my dad might have wanted to, but he was with somebody else, so we kind of just left him alone. Darren Whitcomb, if you guys can remember him, he's another former Blues player, and he played a few games for the All Blacks, but had neck trouble. He was a hooker. He was kind of hooker behind Kevin Mialamu. He lived on our street, so I used to see him all the time, but again, I never really bothered him. My dad used to hit him up for a conversation every time he would see him. So very nice guy by all accounts, very patient to sit there with my dad having a yarn. Getting back into the old days now, Gary Wetton, All Black and Auckland player from way back when. I remember he signed an autograph of mine as a kid. Is it still there? No, I think we got rid of it. It was on a sticker that I just stuck to one of my old childhood dresses, which is just happens to be in this room, but it's not there anymore. But yeah, I remember him as a child. He seemed to be a nice guy. Likewise, Grant Fox, who's a guy I've actually talked to, but again, as a child, he came and did a thing with our school, gave us a chat about I don't know what. He was still a player at the time, so that tells you how long ago it was. He seemed very nice. He made a good impression on me. I have no idea about what he said or anything, but definitely left a very good impression on a youngster, and confirmed, I guess, for me that I like watching rugby. Now, those are all kind of pretty good interactions. I am going to list a couple of not so great ones, and it's not to say that these guys aren't nice people, because, like, I'll give you one example. Mark Ellis, who former rugby and league player, Scored a whole bunch of tries in the '95 World Cup for the All Blacks against Japan. I don't remember him playing many games for the All Blacks. I can't remember. I didn't look it up. But he, after he retired, him and Matthew Ridge, another former All Black and league player, they had a semi-successful period, I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, where they hosted or participated on comedy and sports TV shows here in New Zealand. So they were kind of celebrities to a degree. As much as you can be a celebrity in New Zealand, being such a small country, they were kind of popular celebrities. So at the time I was a student working in a car wash. I would have been maybe 15, and he came in to get his car cleaned, and I admit I was a big suck up. I was like, "Oh, what can we do for you?" And like, oh, I'm gonna give you the this fragrance because it smells really good. And I was being a real suck up, yeah, pretty bad. And he was real dismissive, just like, just get on with it, because it was. I remember his car was like he was on a TV show and he'd been given the car as kind of a loan. While he was on the TV show, I guess one of the sponsors of the show let him use that car. And yeah, he just seemed like a bit of an arrogant dude. But yeah, to be fair, who wants to talk to a bunch of teenagers? Kind of can't blame him. I was going to say, like, if you guys have been with the channel for a while, you know I used to live in China. I lived in China for quite a while. And for 1 year, I lived in a fairly small city by Chinese standards. So non-Chinese people in that town were pretty few and far between. And like, it'd be hard for me to go a week without somebody just like being like, hello, you can use chopsticks and all this kind of stuff. And depending on your mood, sometimes you're like, yeah, that's cool, I really can. Other days you're just like, leave me alone. So maybe he was just having a bad day and didn't want to talk to teenagers cleaning his car. But yeah, my one interaction with Mark Ellis wasn't the best. At least I was getting paid. My brother, I remember he told me a story. This again shows my age, but back when I was a kid and used to go to the games at Eden Park, after the game you used to be able to run onto the pitch, chase the players down for autographs. I was never really into the autographs, but my brother was big time into autographs, and he had pretty much the whole Auckland team, which was a really good team, but he could never get Zinzan Brook, and Zinzan Brook would not sign anybody's, at least from what my brother tells me. He would just, as soon as the whistle was done and those kids came hunting him, he would just gap it as quickly as he could. So my brother, I think deliberately, or at least he felt really snobbed by him one time, at least when he said, can I have your autograph? And he's just like, no. So my brother wasn't a fan. But again, maybe you've just played a game of rugby, you're a bit tired and you don't want to be mucking around with a bunch of kids. I got kids of my own, I can kind of understand that. But my brother did tell me he did get his autograph at a signing, like an event, like when I got Wetton's signature one time later. So he got him in the end. And yeah, like I said, my dad is definitely the guy to go up and talk to anybody. Recently this year, before Auckland had their Mitre 10 Cup final against Canterbury, my dad saw Graham Henry in a cafe with one of the other coaching staff. It might have been Alama Iramia, I can't remember. But he told me that, yeah, he greeted them, and Ted was very, very friendly and very keen to kind of engage him in a short conversation. And then they left first. My dad was still in the cafe, and the other guy went to the bathroom, and Ted came over and talked to my dad again and said, like, make sure you get to the game, you cheer us on, it's the final, make sure you're there. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool guy to do that. He didn't have to do that. My dad is a bit of a chatterbox, so I can see why he might not want to do that, but he still came over and did that. Although on the other side, Ant Strawn, who was another kind of All Black from the mid-90s, he had a coaching role here with one of the club teams at some point. Maybe it was like some director of rugby. And my dad went over to talk to Arini Ai, who was another former Blues player, and at that time was like in his 30s, just playing club rugby. My dad went to talk to him as he was practicing kicking. And Ant Strawn, who's, as I said, former, basically told him to bugger off. So yeah, my dad wasn't a fan of his, but I can imagine a few people wanting to tell my dad to bugger off from time to time. So again, take all this with a grain of salt. I hope you guys have got some kind of cool stories where you've met some guys and they seem nice. Hopefully not too many guys who were a bit maybe less than pleasant when you talk to them. But do let me know. I'm very keen to hear. I know a few of you guys have told me the odd story before in the comments about meeting guys in the airport or seeing teams, and that's all very cool. I love hearing that kind of stuff. I will say though, last year when I was, or this year, during the Super Rugby season when I was in China, I did actually win some tickets to go to sit in one of the proper boxes where you get all the nice food, and yeah, watch the game. I think it was against the Crusaders, but I was in China, so I gave it to my dad, and he met Ian Jones, had a big yum with him. I think I got some pictures. I'll see if I can find them and put them in the video. Yeah, and he got food, and he talked to Alex Hodgman, who was injured. He's a Blues prop at the time, and yeah, just had a ball basically. So yeah, I bet you some of you guys have done that as well. But that was my one and only chance to kind of hobnob with the Blues and Auckland guys, and I was in the wrong country. But yeah, like I said, it's just kind of a bit of fun. We're in kind of holiday mode at the moment. I finished work this week, so kind of happy days, winding down. Looking forward to 2019, which is not too far away. I will say that I'm going shopping for a jersey very shortly after I do this video. So yeah, we'll see what my wife. It's my wife getting me a jersey, so see what my wife gets me for Christmas, and yeah, I'll hopefully have that up some point soon. But as I said, the whole point of this video, my stories are all pretty rubbish. I haven't really sat down and had a beer with anyone, or had a big yum with someone. I'm generally that guy who just kind of wants to leave them alone. Maybe that's from my time in China where people always pestering me with a hello, but like I said, sometimes actually it's, if you're in a good mood, it's actually pretty welcome sometimes to have somebody come and talk to you. So yeah, I'm sure some of you guys have had some pretty cool interactions, so do let me know. I am keen to hear some of those stories, and yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.